Hello everyone, Genki here, and today we're going to see if I can beat Pokemon Legends CA with only Emboar. Emboar is the final evolution of Tepig. It is a tank with 123 base attack and 110 base HP. It is offset a little bit by Emboar having 65 and defense and special defense. Having 100 base special attack means that having a mix set could be viable, but I didn't really use special moves. Lastly, 65 in speed is pretty low for final evolution, but we should be able to fix that using EV investment. By level up, Emboar gets a lot of fire, fighting, and rock moves. The attack boost from Power Up Punch and Bulk Up could be a game changer. By TM, Emboar gets a lot of type coverage. Thunder Punch, Dig, Knock Off, Sit Headbutt, Iron Head, and Poison Jab. This is my first playthrough, so I will be going more over the story in this video. Now, let's go over the rules. I can only use Emboar in battle. No items in battle, only held items outside of combat are allowed. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's begin. We started our journey as a tourist, when we were approached by Tawny, who was recording a promo video for a hotel. However, as we struck up a conversation, our luggage was swiped by a Pancham. We followed the Pancham and found a couple of trainers. This led us to our starter selection, where we chose Tepig. This was also our battle tutorial. The battles were not in real time, and moves had a cooldown, so we had to go back and forth between Tackle and Tail Whip until we took out the Pancham that stole our luggage. Following the battle, it turned to night, and the area we were in turned into a battle zone. In the city of Lumios, there was a tournament called the Zia Royale, and trainers would gather in these areas called battle zones in order to get points for challengers tickets, which they could use towards promotion matches. Despite not participating in the tournament yet, it looked like we were in some deep trouble, but we were then saved by AZ's Floette. It turns out AZ was now a hotel owner. Tawny was trying to help him get more guests, to almost no success. I say almost because Hotel Z was now our permanent residence. Let's take a look at Tepig. I named him Babe. He's bashful nature, so neutral stat gains. Not bad. The next morning, we got an email inviting us to participate in the Zia Royale, along with an invitation from Tawny to join her group, Team MZ. We then got into our first rival battle with Tawny. Chikorita went down pretty easily. Totodile took more effort, and got Babe to blow half before it went down. We then got access to our Pokedex at the Pokemon Center. The nurses now both healed our Pokemon and sold items. Despite us only being able to use Babe, I still went into wild zones and caught Pokemon. This was because at the Pokemon Research Lab, the director, Mabel, wanted us to catch Pokemon for research. We needed to do this because Mabel's research was how we got access to like 90% of the game's TMs. We then got a notice for our first promotion match. We had to face against Zach. However, first we needed to battle trainers for our Challenger's ticket. For the sake of the video, I'm just going to skip over the battle zone segments. Zach led with Slowpoke, who was doing big damage with Water Gun, while keeping Babe's attack down constantly with Growl. At level 10, our strongest move was Rollout, but it wasn't doing that much, allowing Slowpoke to take Babe to below half before we could finally take it out. Zach then sent out Pidgey, who survived Rollout at half, so we took 7 damage from Gus before taking it out. Last on Zach's team was Pikachu. It was looking like a 3KO from Rollout, leading to Babe going down. I decided to go back to Wild Zone 1 and grind for levels. At level 13, Rollout did more damage against Slowpoke, but then we went for Tail Whip. The defense drop caused Rollout to do half of Slowpoke's health in one hit, allowing us to finish off Slowpoke with Tackle. Pidgey was almost a one-shot from Rollout, but then Gust only did 2 HP in damage, so we were still at almost half for Pikachu. Pikachu went first and used Thunder Wave, as Rollout took Pikachu to almost half. Pikachu's attacks were now only doing 2 HP in damage. I had Babe use Tail Whip. This caused Tackle to take Pikachu into the red, letting us get the win with one more Rollout. Following the battle, we were introduced to Emma, a detective who Naruto runs. The next morning, we met up with Tawny at a food truck with a very familiar logo. But then we came across the Fist of Justice. Tawny's big mouth then got us into a battle with one of the members. She used fighting types, but after a defense jump from Tail Whip, Tackle and Rollout were able to get us the win. We then made our way to Looker Bureau, where we met back up with Emma. Helping Emma with her detective work was how the game introduced side quests. We were forced to complete a few of them, but along the way, we evolved Babe into Pick Knight. We then got the notification for our next promotion match. Yvonne led with Spritzy, who started by lowering Babe's special defense with fake tears, before spamming fairy moves, which did neutral damage to Babe. It went down 4 hits, because we'd used a resisted power punch. It wasn't that useful though, as the attack boost was literally like 2 seconds. Yvonne then sent out Swirlix, who used the exact same moves as Spritzy, as we also took it out in 4 hits. Last on Yvonne's team was Vivian, who was almost a one-shot from Flame Wheel. Thankfully Babe had enough health to survive Vivian's Gust, as we finished it off a power punch. We then spent the next day catching Pokemon, until it was time for our next promotion match. Xavier led with Venipede, who always started with Spikes. It was 2 kill from Flame Wheel. However, then Kadabra came out. Kadabra started with Reflect, as Flame Wheel took it down to half. Its Side Beam then took Babe down to half. Kadabra ended up surviving a power punch on a Sliver, so Babe got taken to red health from Confusion before taking out Kadabra. Babe then walked straight into Venipede's Spikes, causing him to go down. On the next few attempts, we just kept losing to Kadabra, so I decided to do some training. At level 28, we started with a power punch on Venipede, but we had issues landing a second hit, so we couldn't take advantage of the attack boost. We took out Venipede's rollout, but Babe was down a third because of Venipede's pin missiles. Against Kadabra, Babe managed to hit it with Flame Wheel before it could set up Reflect, getting a one-shot. This brought out Roselia, who also knows Spikes, but was a one-shot. Last on Zabi's team was Frifro. We went for a power punch, but missed, as Frifro sped past us using Takedown. Frifro then proceeded to use a bunch of different bite moves, leaving Babe in the red as we took it out in 3 hits. The next day, we met Lita in the hotel lobby, and she told us how she came to Lumios to study dancing. But as she left to go practice, AZ informed us that Lita forgot her belongings. We found Lita and her partner Staryu in an empty courtyard. After giving her her stuff, Lita proposed a battle. She led with Clauncher. While at the start, Clauncher was only landing Aqua Jets on us, it was a 3 KO. This allowed it to land a Bubble Beam, before Babe could finish it off. Next up was Vanillite, who we one-shot, leaving only Staryu. Staryu went for Harden and Confuse Ray, as Babe's rollout only did a quarter. It then took Babe down to red health, as Power Punch took Staryu to a third. Babe went down to Water Gun. At level 30, we started with Protect to block Clauncher's Aqua Jet. I got the TM for Protect from Mabel's research. Power Punch did almost half. We then did some really bad plays, resulting in Babe being at already below half before we could take out Clauncher. This time for Vanillite, I had Babe use Power Punch, giving him an attack boost for Staryu. Rollout now did closer to a third. Thankfully, we managed to dodge Staryu's Bubble Beam. Power Punch then took Staryu to a third. We did multiple laps around Staryu, for no particular reason, dodging Confuse Ray, Bubble Beam, and Water Gun, before finally taking out Staryu with Rollout. On to our next promotion match, which was against Rentaro. Rentaro uses the fully evolved forms of the elemental monkeys. Also, he loves using Protect. Simisage was a one-shot with Flame Wheel, but this brought out Simipour. Power Punch did a quarter. We then avoided Simipour's Bubble Beam, before going for Rollout, which took Simipour to half. We went for another Power Punch, but this resulted in Babe getting hit by Bubble Beam, taking him down to a third. A Water Gun then left Babe in the red, but we managed to take out Simipour, just for Babe to go down to Simisear. Rentaro's Simipour was so annoying to take out. We had to fully evolve Babe into Emboar to beat this battle. Simisage blocked our initial Flame Wheel, so we had to go for Power Punch, before taking out Simisage with our next Flame Wheel. For Simipour, I tried to bait out Bubble Beam, so we could block it with Protect, but then Simipour did the same to our Power Punch. This resulted in Babe getting hit by a second Bubble Beam, as I had Babe use Bulk Up, which I had Babe learn over Rollout. Bubble Beam was now doing far less damage. Our boosted Power Punch then took Simipour down to half. We had Babe go for Flame Wheel, with Simipour blocked with Protect, allowing Babe to get the KO with Power Punch. With Babe still at above half health, Simisear could do barely anything to Babe, allowing him to take out Simisear with a combo of Flame Wheel and Power Punch. Following the battle, we were introduced to Zygarde and Rogue Mega Battles. One of the reasons we technically cannot beat the game with only Emboar. Since we cannot Mega Evolve Emboar, we had to borrow AZ's Mega Lucario. However, there's a chance we could just exclude this, since it is technically a tutorial. My first impressions of Rogue Mega Battles were that they made Legends ZA a game I could only solo challenge with Pokemon who could Mega Evolve, as Lucario was not doing much damage at first. The next day, Tawny gets a call from Vinny, asking us to meet him at Quasartico's headquarters. However, first we had to battle Tawny. She wanted to test our skills with Mega Evolution, and would not start the battle unless we had Absol with his Mega Stone in our party. I added him, but I did not use him, of course. Bayleaf was a one-shot Flame Wheel. Power Punch took Croconaw to above half, but then a boosted Flame Wheel took it out. Tawny then sent out Manectric, which she Mega Evolved. It wasn't able to hit Emboar that hard, so I had Emboar set up Bulk Up. Flame Wheel then took Manectric down to a quarter, allowing us to get the KO with Power Punch. Oh, and it seems that Tawny gets unique dialogue if you don't use Absol. Upon meeting up with Vinny, it seemed that Quasartico was also helping deal with rogue Mega Evolutions. It was using the Zia Real to find others who could help them in their cause. However, as Tawny and I were only rank V, we were not exactly noteworthy trainers. Vinny's answer to this was to give Tawny and I a promotion match against him, where we would go strength to rank F. Vinny led with Houndoom, who was a one-shot with Power Punch. He then put out Sharpedo. He hit us with the Whirlpool and Aqua Jet, but was also a one-shot from Power Punch. Vinny then sent out Baneri, who we set up Bulk Up against before taking it out. Last on Vinny's team was Drampa, which he Mega Evolved. I got a little confused at first by the animation of Safeguard, leading to Babe getting hit by Icy Wind. Drampa then did big damage with Twister as Power Punch to the third. We went for a Bulk Up as Drampa went for another Icy Wind, but then Twister took Babe into the red. Flame Wheel took Drampa to below half. We tried to go for another Power Punch, but Drampa was faster and took out Babe. At level 43, we still took out Houndoom in one hit. However, against Sharpedo, we accidentally went for Flame Wheel. It was thankfully to a KO. Baneri we just quickly took out with Power Punch, meaning we were back to Drampa. We started with a Bulk Up, as Drampa hit us with Glare. Twister then took Babe to almost half, as Power Punch took Drampa to under half. And Icy Wind and Twister took Babe down to a quarter, but then Flame Wheel took Drampa into the red. Drampa went for another Icy Wind, but then before it could get off a Twister, Babe took out Drampa with one final Power Punch. Vinny then explained to us how Quasartico, being tasked with stopping Mega Evolutions and finding the strongest Mega Evolution user, was all the doing of AZ. By the time we left the company, it was almost nighttime, so I decided to get our next Challenger's ticket before meeting back up with Tawny. As we arrived back at the hotel, we received word of more rogue Mega Evolutions. This time Slowbro, Camerupt, and Victreebel. We had to battle each of them, but we were at least being accompanied by one of the other members. Then, as we were about to leave, AZ gave us a Mega Stone for Emboar. Thank God. I decided to start with Mega Victreebel. I spent the start of the battle avoiding Victreebel's Bullet Seeds, and having Emboar spam Flame Wheel, but then we got enough Mega Power to Mega Evolve. This is such a good design. Flame Wheel was now doing a lot more damage, but then Victreebel covered the floor in sludge. We managed to not take too much damage from the first wave, but then Victreebel went into its second phase, and covered even more of the ground in sludge, causing Emboar to go down. This took a couple tries. We managed to get Victreebel down to the red, before it could go for its phase 2 Sludge Bomb attack. We then found a clear opening behind the knee. Babe did revert back to normal, and we almost died from a face full of Bullet Seeds, but we managed to put on the pressure enough to get the win. Next up was Mega Camerupt, who was considerably harder than Victreebel. I had Babe learn the TM for Rock Tomb, but Camerupt is actually neutral to rock moves. This prevented Babe from doing big damage, even while Mega Evolved, causing him to go down. It was time to do some training. At this time, I discovered Babe had access to close combat. 120 base power, but with a drop in defense and special defense. I came back to Camerupt at level 50. Close combat was 100% the move. Babe was doing so much more damage when Mega Evolved. I did have Babe also use Bulk Up, not only getting the attack boost, but also neutralizing the defense drop for close combat. However, with Camerupt at just above a third, Babe's Mega Evolution timed out. We continued to attack with close combat and Flame Wheel, but we were having difficulty getting it hidden, as Camerupt started jumping around. How does something so big jump? Eventually we were able to Mega Evolve again, allowing us to take out Camerupt in 2 more close combats. Last was Mega Slowbro. Our first attempts were bad. Slowbro has a lot of defense and resists both Flame Wheel and close combat. I had to go out and catch Pokemon in order to get the Thunder Punch TM from Mabel's research. For the battle, We had to put a lot of pressure on Slowbro, attacking with both Flame Wheel and Thunder Punch. This was so we could quickly Mega Evolve. Thunder Punch was not doing as much as Close Combat was doing to Camerupt, but it was the best move we had. Flame Wheel was oddly good at helping Babe take less damage from Slowbro's Water Pulse. However, we couldn't stop his Whirlpools, but that move was easily avoidable. Slowbro was at a quarter by the time Babe's Mega Evolution ran out. Following the Whirlpools, we had difficulty getting in attacks, as Slowbro was now spamming Water Pulse. Thankfully, Tawny's Manectric has Snarl, which gave Slowbro a special attack drop. This, along with another round of Mega Evolution, gave us the win. That was rough, and we're already at level 50. It doesn't end there though. As we made our way back to the hotel, Zygarde now wants to fight. Zygarde is a ground type, so our only damaging move right now is Flame Wheel. We did get the burn though. This drops Zygarde's attack power, making its Bulldoze not that dangerous. Zygarde went down to burn damage. Following the battle, we encountered Lysander, L. He was following Zygarde, helping it find a trainer strong enough to stand by its side. Back inside the hotel, we got notified of our next promotion match. We were facing Kanari. Kanari, as a popular streamer, was hard to find. In order to possibly find out where she could be, we had to battle Naveen. His team were all one-shots. Naveen then shared with us that Kanari's diehard fans are able to participate in a quiz show, where the winner could ask Kanari for something. The quiz was held at a power plant. How fitting. In order to help with the quiz, Naveen gave us an earpiece, but for most of the quiz, he didn't really help. I primarily followed this creepy superfan guy, who said he won the quiz multiple times. However, when it was then the last question, Naveen helped us out. We were to find Kanari's partner Electros's favorite snack. Electros likes super luminous galettes, but they preferred to be crispier. This was only provided by one cafe. Only us and the superfan got the answer right, so in order to choose a winner, we had to battle. He was an easy sweep. This led us to our final question, which Naveen answered for us. We were now able to challenge Kanari to a promotion match. We were told to go to Racine Construction. Racine Construction was owned by Haragon, Kanari's grandpa. He forced us to battle him before we could take on Kanari. He started with Hippowdon, who to my annoyance set up Stealth Rocks. We set up a bulk up, but Flame Wheel was not enough. We had to take out Hippowdon in close combat. Against Diggersby, we Mega Evolved and took it out with close combat before it could attack. Last was Mega Excadrill, who we also one-shot with close combat. On to Kanari. Flame Wheel was not enough to take out her lead Helios, so I had Babe set up a bulk up before taking it out. This did leave us at 2/3 health. Our boosted Flame Wheel only left Stunfisk at about half, letting Stunfisk get off a charge and discharge, leaving Babe at below half before going down. Against Ampharos, I had Babe Mega Evolve. Ampharos then set up Cotton Guard, allowing it to try Babe's close combat red health, and get off a discharge. We took it out with Flame Wheel. Last was Kanari's Mega Electros. It went first to use discharge, but Babe survived the hit with 9 HP and one-shot Electros with close combat. First try. Kanari then gave us a TM, and a flush for Naveen. It seems we weren't so slick after all. The next day, we started off with 3 new Rogue Megas to take care of. Beedrill, Hawlucha, and Banette. First up was Mega Beedrill. It was really fast, but since Babe doubles his bug moves, he was in no trouble. Us on the other hand was a different story. Beedrill was getting annoying with all its ads, because it was getting difficult to lock on. However, we got the win on our first try, with Babe still at above half health. What was not a first try was Mega Hawlucha. Its bounce did big damage to us and Babe. It turned out that because the move needed the charge, we could stun Hawlucha out of it, resulting in a smaller version of the attack. 2 rounds of bounce did leave Babe at only 9 HP, but we got the win. Last was Mega Banette. Right off the bat, Banette cloned itself. We ended up getting rid of one of the clones, but then I noticed that the Banette that was the real one didn't have a mini health bar above its head. Once we were able to Mega Evolve, we got rid of the clone by stunning the real Banette. It did make more as soon as it could, but we just stunned it again. When we got to phase 2, Banette went from doing 2 clones to 4. However, the giant pink aura was not really helping it hide. The clones were just annoying. We did almost go down to an onslaught of Shadow Claws, but we managed to push through and get a first try victory. At the hotel, we discovered that our next opponent for the Zero Royale was Ivor. However, upon reaching his dojo, we didn't find Ivor. Instead, we found Josie, who we battled earlier in the game. Then suddenly Ivor showed up, looking for his sister Gwen. To help Ivor, we first went to Emma's office. We then went to City Hall, because Gwen spent a lot of time there due to noise complaints about Ivor. From there, we went to a cafe off of Central Plaza, where we discovered Gwen was friends with Kanari. After seeing construction, we had to battle Kanari again, but then she told us to look for a cloister-shaped water fountain. The fountain had a gate to the sewers, but to access it, we had to freeze the fountain. This is one of the reasons why other Pokemon were allowed outside of battle. In the sewers, we found a locked door. We tried to see if a cleft key could open it, but it didn't seem likely. Ivor then just punched the door down. We soon found a wandering Chandelure, possibly Gwen's partner Pokemon. We followed it until we got to an empty room. After finding nothing that could lead to another room, we encountered an illusory wall, which led us to Gwen. In order for Gwen to tell us what was going on, we had to battle her. She led with Banette, who was 2 KO. Her Gorgeist was a 3 KO, since it resisted Thunder Punch, but we were still at 3/4 health. Gwen then brought out her Mega Chandelure. Thunder Punch and Flame Wheel brought Chandelure down to 1/4. It then set a Fire Spin. I was trying to avoid it, but this caused Babe to take damage from Shadow Ball, that one more Thunder Punch won us the battle. It turns out Gwen was using the area to get away from her brother, because of the complaints against him. Ivor breaks every phone he touches, so by hiding from him, Ivor could not participate in any more promotion matches. But then we showed up, meaning it's time for our next promotion match. Ivor led with Heracross, who got in a hit with Aerial Ace, but was a one-shot. Machamp blocked our Flame Wheel and Protect, but then Thunder Punch did less than half. This caused us to take big damage from Sim Headbutt. Flame Wheel then took Machamp to a Sliver, causing us to take out Machamp in close combat. Ivor then sent out Machamp, who started with Bulk Up, as Flame Wheel did less than half. Machamp then went for Bulldoze, taking Babe out from half health. I decided to get the TM for Fire Punch for Mabel's research. It's 75 base power, 15 more than Flame Wheel. Against Heracross, I had Babe use Protect against Aerial Ace, but we still got hit with Brick Break before taking out Heracross. Machamp's Protect this time was too slow. Fire Punch took it down to 1/4. Machamp went down to Thunder Punch. Against Machamp, we went for a Thunder Punch Fire Punch combo, taking Machamp down to 1/4, but then its Bulldoze took Babe to half. Machamp then got in a Brick Break and Brutal Swing before we could take it out with Fire Punch. Last was Ivor's Mega Phalanx. Its Brick Break left Babe at only 6 HP, as Fire Punch did less than half. However, then Phalanx backed away to use Rock Slide. This gave Babe the opportunity to use close combat, winning us the battle. Back at the hotel, we discovered that Tawny had made a deal with the Rust Syndicate, a Yakuza-style gang in Lumios, and she owed them money. Their office was definitely something you can't miss. Outside the building, we met Philippe, the second in command for the Rust Syndicate. Because of an altercation we had with the guards, we now had to battle him. He led with Steelix, which set up Stealth Rocks. It then survived close combat and red health. We moved away from the Stealth Rocks, avoiding Steelix Rock Slide, before taking it out with Fire Punch. Philippe then brought out Scizor. Scizor went for Sword Stance, but then did weak damage with Bullet Punch. It was a one-shot from Fire Punch. Last was Philippe's Mega Skarmory. It went for Drill Run, as we used Fire Punch. Babe was still at half, while Skarmory was in the red, and burned. Skarmory went down to Thunder Punch. Philippe then led us into the building, where we met the boss, Corbeau. Corbeau explained that he was willing to have Lita and I deal with the interest Tawny had built up, and only have Tawny pay back what she originally borrowed from them if we did work for him. We didn't really have much choice but to accept. As we got back to the hotel, we then got news of more Rogue Megas. This time Mawile, Barbarical, and Ampharos. First up was Mega Mawile. Babe's typing made him resistant to Steel, and neutral to Fairy. So I was thinking it was going to be a decent battle. Nope. Mawile can fly out of the arena and barrage the field with Moonblast. I eventually noticed there was a pattern, helping us and Babe reduce the amount of damage we suffered from the attack. But then we got Mawile to its second phase, where it adds Homing Moonblast to the attack. On our winning attempt, we managed to get Mawile to almost half, before it could do its first Moonblast barrage. We then carefully avoided it, Babe only getting hit once. With Mawile back on the field, we continued attacking it, getting it to red health as it started its second phase. For this part, we literally just needed to run, and hope Babe could tank the hits. 2 hits from the homing Moonblast took Babe to below half, but this provided us with the opportunity we needed for Babe to continue the assault and win us the fight. Next up was Barbarical. Thankfully, Lita's told us that Barbarical, upon Mega Evolving, turned to a Rock and Fighting type. Once we were Mega Evolved, Babe was making easy work out of Barbarical, but we did almost go down to Barbarical's own close combat. Thankfully, we were able to dodge the second one. During the duration of the fight, Barbarical had been summoning ads. I had been primarily avoiding them. However, with there now being 4 extra Bindicles on the field, locking out was getting difficult. This did not stop us though. We finished off Barbarical with Thunder Punch. Next up was Mega Ampharos. At first, it seemed like it was a battle of attrition, as neither of us could do a lot of damage. But it turned out Babe got an attack drop from Ampharos' Breaking Swipe. For its phase 1, Ampharos' charge attack was Discharge. However, it changed in its phase 2 to Thunder. It was also now spamming Breaking Swipe, constantly keeping Babe's attack down. What really shocked me though was Ampharos going back to using Discharge. The attack left Babe on only 3 HP, leading him to going down to Ampharos' next attack. Breaking Swipe was an attack we could not avoid, so we just had to make do with it. However, when Ampharos did go for its charge attack, I had Babe keep his distance, since it had a chance of being one of 2 options. Avoiding the discharge of Ampharos' phase 2 was the play we needed, as Ampharos soon went down afterwards. Back at the hotel, we got a call from Corbo. It was time for our first job. Oh, and I picked up the TM for Dig. That could have been useful for Ampharos. At the spot we were told to meet, we were tasked with getting rid of some ghost. Dig one-shot one of the Gengars and Ghastly. The last Gengar went for a weak Dark Pulse, but it went down the Fire Punch. I did make sure to catch one for the Pokedex. We then found a painting of Professor Lavington. Ain't that an Easter egg? Our next job was to go into the sewers and clean it out of Mega Shards. Following that, we had to go take care of some adults who were harassing some kids. They were apparently members of the Society of Battle Connoisseurs. We then found Tawny protecting the president of Quasartico from an angry mob. We got into a battle with one of the protesters, but it was 2v1 with Corbo. This did confirm Corbo was a poison trainer, if his outfit didn't already make that obvious. The interest Tawny now owed the Rose Syndicate was now cleared. However, we then got a notification of our next promotion match. Our opponent was Corbo. Gee, what a coincidence. Corbo leads an Arbok, who always starts with Toxic, so I had Babe use Protect. We then one-shot Arbok with Dig. Gyarados was a one-shot with Thunder Punch. Rosary was a one-shot with Fire Punch. This left only Corbo's Mega Scolipede, who we one-shot with Fire Punch. Back at the hotel, we then got a visit from Corbo. He decided to check in for the night. The next morning, he decided to give Tawny a generous tip, allowing her to fully pay off her debt. AZ then provided Lita and Naveen with Megastones for their partners. However, only Naveen could use this. With their new Megastones, we then got challenged by Naveen and Lita. Lita was first. Her Cloyster started with Water Pulse, but I had Babe use Protect. Cloyster the guy in a Mud Shot, as Thunder Punch one-shot it. Lita then sent out Amoga, who survived Thunder Punch on a literal sliver. As a result, we got hit by Air Slash a couple times before taking out Amoga. Vanillish was a one-shot with Fire Punch, leaving only Staryu. It went for Surf, but we managed to block it. We then one-shot Staryu with Thunder Punch. On to Naveen. We went for Protect, but it didn't quite block Sticky Web. We then one-shot Ariados and Sableye with Fire Punch. Crocodile got in a Sand Tomb, but it went down to close combat. Last was Naveen's now Mega Scrafty. It was a one-shot with close combat. Following the battles, we all went for lunch at the cafe, where we were approached by a maid, inviting us and Tawny to an event held by, wait a minute, Jacinthe, leader of the Society of Battle Connoisseurs, or SBC. Since we were attending this apparently huge event, it was suggested that we dress up. The outfit the game forced on us was quite ugly in my opinion. At the hotel the tournament was at, we found all the people we had just battled. Kanari, Tarragon, Ivor, Gwen, Philippe, and Corbo. We were then introduced to our host. However, then Tawny got a message from Vinny about more Rogue Megas. This meant we had to leave the tournament, much to the dislike of Descent. The maid from before, Labane, did try to warn us, but Tawny didn't think much of it. Back at the hotel, we were told the Megas this time were Frostlass, Altaria, and Venusaur. The strategy meeting was then interrupted by Jasant. How long has she been there? When we pressured to Jasant that the rogue Megas were more important, she eventually left, but not without a threat. Okay, first up was Mega Frostlass. We were doing good damage to it. However, it seemed its charge attack was Blizzard, which led to us going down. Before the attack, Frostlass uses Icicle Crash, with the final round of Icicles staying on the field. This is how the player is supposed to avoid the attack. With the Blizzard gone, we quickly finished off Frostlass. Next was Mega Altaria. As a Fairy Dragon, Altaria resists all our moves. But that wasn't the issue. Altaria can fly. We could still hit it, but that was because of its tail. Altaria's charge attack was a homing twister, which just slices through Babe's health bar. We went and picked up the TM for Ironhead. When Mega Evolved, Babe was doing good damage with it. That's one issue solved. For the twister, I had to run. Altaria's attacks were targeting the player, so by keeping distance from Babe, he took minimal damage from the twisters. For Altaria's phase 2, it now summoned more and faster twisters. However, the same strategy as before worked here. Just had to remember to roll in into any approaching twisters. Altaria was now spamming Moonblast, but they could not really hit Babe, since he was always underneath Altaria, trying to hit it with either Ironhead or Fire Punch. Towards the end, Altaria went for Brave Bird for the first time, taking Babe to red health. Babe then tanked his way through a Dragon Pulse, taking out Altaria with only 16 HP to spare. Last was Venusaur, who we beat first try with Babe still in green health. We all then met at the hotel, where Tawny decided it was time to return back to Jasant's tournament. However, before we could, Jasant locked the hotel in our own personal battle zone. We battled two grunts whose team were all one-shot sweeps, but then we had to battle Lebane, who got a complete personality change. Her Northern Super Fang did a third, as Ironhead did over half. Fire Punch that took Northern to a sliver, as its Hurricane took Babe straight to red health. We got the burn on Northern though, causing it to go down. Next was Tyrantrum, who finished off Babe with Breaking Swipe. This battle was the hardest trainer battle so far. Not only did I train Babe up to level 76, I also got the TM for Rock Slide from Mabel's research. I wanted a super effective move against Northern, but it still lived to hit. We got the flinch though, so we took out Northern while only taking some damage for Air Slash. Tyrantrum always led with Breaking Swipe, so we used this opportunity to one-shot with close combat. If we blocked the attack, Tyrantrum would have used Earthquake. We then Mega Evolved Babe, so that we could safely one-shot Garchomp, who was setting up a Swords Dance. Last was Lebane's Mega Dragology. We went for Rock Slide, but Dragology blocked most of the damage with Protect. Dragology then hit us with Hydro Pump, taking Babe to a third, as close combat took Dragology to a quarter. Dragology then went for Sludge Bomb, but Babe lived the hit on red health, finishing off Dragology with Rock Slide. Sheesh! Oh, and our next promotion match is against Jasant. Back at Jasant's tournament, we had to battle Kanari, Ivor, and Corbo. I'm not going to show them as their teams are still the same, as well as the outcomes. However, as we went to battle Jasant, Zygarde came out of nowhere, and it wanted to battle us. Jasant agreed to Zygarde's wish, leading to us now having this hilarious bracket. This time, we had to battle Zygarde's 50% form. We started by blocking Zygarde's Crunch, before going for Ironhead. We were then able to Mega Evolve. Close Combat did a quarter to Zygarde. Zygarde then did weak damage with Dragon Pulse, as Fire Punch and Ironhead took it to half. We went for Close Combat, taking Zygarde to a quarter, as it went for Land's Wrath. This brought Babe down to below half. We went for another Ironhead Fire Punch combo, but Zygarde lived the hit in the red, forcing us to take out with Close Combat. Onto our battle with Jasant. She led with Carbink, who of course set up Stealth Rocks, as Close Combat took down to a third. We then blocked Carbink's Moonblast, before going for Fire Punch, which Carbink survived on a sliver. Carbink then reset Stealth Rocks, as we finished it off with Ironhead. Gardevoir decided to set up Calm Mind, as we went for Fire Punch, but Gardevoir lived the hit in red health. We then took out Gardevoir with Ironhead. Jasant's Mawile was a one-shot. Her Aurorus was a 2 KO, but we took it out before it could use an attack, so all that was left was Jasant's Mega Clefable. We went for Ironhead, but then Clefable used Protect, so it only took a little damage. We then used Fire Punch, taking Clefable into the red. Clefable went down to close combat. Time for another round of Rogue Megas. This time we had to deal with Dragonite, Tyranitar, and Starmie. First up was Dragonite. I had Babe use primarily Rock Slide, in order to get super effective damage. The battle was looking promising, but then we discovered Dragonite's charge attack seemed to be Hurricane, which shredded Babe's health bar. Once under half health, Dragonite will start charging up another attack after the Hurricane. The attack was a Hyper Beam AoE that would always instantly take out Babe. After doing some training, I discovered something. After 16 hours of gameplay so far, I found out how to recall Pokemon back into their Pokeball. Also, you can do it in the middle of a Rogue Mega Battle. You don't have to have a Pokemon always on the field. By doing this, we were able to avoid Babe taking damage during Dragonite's Hurricane. For Phase 2, we had to send out Babe when Dragonite started charging its Hyper Beam. This resulted in Babe being taken to red health, but by stunning Dragonite, it would instead fire a series of mini Hyper Beams, which we could easily dodge. Surviving the Hyper Beams gave us the opportunity we needed to take out Dragonite. Next was Tyranitar. This was considerably easier than Dragonite. Its Rock Slide and Crunch were not doing that much damage. Its charge attack was Stone Edge. To avoid Babe taking damage, we had him in his Pokeball, because he was so slow that he would get hit by every Stone Edge. Once we were able to Mega Evolve, we easily got Tyranitar down to a quarter, before it could go for its Phase 2 Stone Edge. Once that was over, we brought back out Babe, but then Tyranitar went for Earthquake, so we had to recall Babe back. Babe was now in the red, but one more close combat finished off Tyranitar. Last was Mega Starmie. Due to some bad luck, Babe was in red health by the time we were able to Mega Evolve. However, Babe then did not receive any more damage for the rest of the fight. We kept Babe in his Pokeball for Starmie's charge attack, since it was just Starmie running at us. For its Phase 2, it tried to hit us with Hydro Pump. That was definitely an attack I was glad Babe couldn't be hit with. Back at the hotel, we got the notification for our final ZA Royale promotion match. It was against someone named Grissom. To track down Grissom, we went and talked to Emma, but she wouldn't tell us anything until we battled her. Emma led with Ampharos. Instead of Light Screen, as Babe used Fire Punch, but Ampharos survived the hit in red health. We took it out with Thunder Punch. Lucario, Mawile, and Lopunny were then all one-shots, which left only Mega Malamar. It went for Psycho Cut, but was a one-shot with close combat. Emma then told us that Grissom was the trainer who was being trained by Team Flare 5 years ago, and that Professor Mabel could tell us more information. Mabel told us to try the Nouveau Cafe at Central Plaza. It turns out the barista in the truck was Grissom all along. He was also the leader of Team Flare Nouveau. He was trying to revive Team Flare with the coffee truck business as a front. Griselle, the lady server, then had us meet outside of Lysander Cafe, the original front for Team Flare. But before we could learn more, we had to battle her. She led with Talonflame, who went for Quick Attack, as we went for Thunder Punch. It lived to hit, so Babe took some damage from Flare Blitz before taking out Talonflame. Camerupt was a one-shot close combat. Metagross did weak damage with Bullet Punch, as Fire Punch took it to red health. Metagross then went for Psycho Cut, taking Babe to 2/3 health as we finished it off. Grisel's Aerodactyl went first, and used Stone Edge, but we blocked the attack. We then took out Aerodactyl with close combat. This left only Grisel's Mega Pyroar. It went for Snarl, but was a one-shot with close combat. Grissom then led us into Lysander Cafe, and access to the old Team Flare headquarters. We had to traverse the ruins in order to access the elevator down to the bottom floor. From there, the game told us that AZ made something referred to as the Ultimate Weapon. It was originally made to revive a Pokemon that had died, but it did so by taking the life of others. We also learned that Team Flare was going to use the weapon to reduce the population of the world in order to keep food and other resources from depleting. How very Thanos of them. Lysander then showed up and told us of the device in Prism Tower. However, the device required a very specific Floette to activate. It is possible that activating the Ultimate Weapon 5 years ago activated the device inside Prism Tower, which was why Zygarde was looking for a partner it could trust by its side. Back upstairs, Grissom told us to bring Floette to him in order to save Lumiose. I'm not sure about that. Back at the hotel, AZ explained everything to us. The device inside Prism Tower was called Angie. It was a device that would use Floette's internal life rather than take life from others. However, Floette never returned to AZ, and the world turned to a time of peace. AZ was currently looking for the strongest Mega Evolution user in order for them to use Mega Floette and stop Angie. This was why AZ helped start the Zia Royale. While AZ was aware this was all his doing, he was no longer at an age where he could do anything, so it was up to Team MZ to help save Lumiose. We then returned to Grissom without Floette and started our battle. Grissom led with Pangoro, who blocked our close combat. Fire Punch did over half to Pangoro, though it survived Thunder Punch, allowing it to do a third to Babe with Brick Break and Bullet Punch. Pangoro went down to close combat. Malamar hit Babe with Hypnosis, as we used close combat, but then Malamar survived the hit. It then took Babe to a third with Side Shock before going down. Pyroar hit Babe with Snarl, but went down to close combat. However, then out came Tyranitar, who took out Babe with Earthquake. Instead of just grinding levels, I decided to go and hunt down Hondu berries. We ended up completing 2 quests, which provided the player with a total of 10 Hondu berries. Hondu berries lower a Pokemon's special attack EVs. We could then use the available points to increase Babe's attack stat. However, the boost in attack was not enough for Babe to one-shot Malamar. Against Tyranitar, I had Babe use Protect to block Earthquake, before going for close combat. Tyranitar still got in a Stone Edge, taking Babe to half health before going down in one hit. I decided to Mega Evolve Babe against Grissom's next Pokemon, Salamence, who also has Earthquake. We blocked it but then went down to Aerial Ace. At level 95, Malamar was now one-shot. This allowed us to survive Tyranitar's Stone Edge at above half health. Salamence's Aerial Ace took Babe to a quarter, but it went down to Rock Slide. Last was Grissom's Mega Charizard X. We went for Fire Punch, which caused Charizard to waste its Protect. Charizard then went for Dragon Rush, but Babe survived the hit in red health, and one-shot Charizard with Rock Slide. With us now reaching the top rank of the Zia Royale, we made our way back to the hotel for a nice rest, but it was cut short by Angie, blowing away all the scaffolding that was covering Prism Tower. We approached the tower with the rest of Team MZ. It seemed like we were most likely to be the partner for Mega Floette, but Tawny had also risen to rank A. To decide he was going to go in the tower, we had a battle. Tawny led with Meowstic, who set both Reflect and Light Screen before we took it out with a combo of Fire Punch and Thunder Punch. Tawny then sent out Goodra, who went straight for Toxic, but we blocked it with Protect. It then went for Surf, as our close combat took into the red. We took out Goodra with Thunder Punch. With Reflect still up, Meganium was a 2 KO, but it just went for Leech Seed and a weak Earth Power. Tawny's Reflect was now gone, but Avalok still survived Fire Punch on a third. Thunder Punch then only took Avalok to red health, so Babe got hit by Stone Edge, Acid Crash, and Crunch before taking out Avalok. For Manectric, we went for close combat, but it blocked the hit. It then did weak damage to Snarl, before being one-shot by Fire Punch. Last was Tawny's Mega for Alligator. It started with Bulldoze, which took Babe to red health, as Thunder Punch is less than half. For Alligator then went for Breaking Swipe, leaving Babe on a sliver as close combat finished it off. Following the battle, Tawny then pulled a "ha, just kidding" on us and decided to join Floette in Prism Tower. It seems like things were going smoothly, but then the tower sprouted a giant flower. From the tower, Tawny informed us that she could see Zygarde, but then we were attacked by Rogue Mega Gengar and Mega Heracross. Thankfully, it was 3v2. We were doing so little damage until we could Mega Evolve. Even then, it took a lot of hits to defeat the Rogue Megas. With no power in the city, and scaffolding blocking various streets, we had to find a way over to Zygarde. It was time for a strategy meeting. It was obvious that Lita, Naveen, and us could not make it to Zygarde on our own. But what if we had some help? With information provided by Chisant, we put together a route for us to get to the Magenta District where Zygarde was waiting. The first route on our path had us meeting with Ivor and Gwen, but we were currently being blocked by Mega Pidgeot, Mega Kangaskhan, and Mega Garchomp. This battle took me a while, because Garchomp kept taking out Babe. The strat I came up with was first separating Pidgeot from the others, and fighting it 1v1. By the time we took it out, Babe was able to Mega Evolve. This gave us the power to come in and finish off Kangaskhan, but then Ivor's Heracross finished off Garchomp. After Ivor was Kanari, who was being blocked by a Mega Blastoise and Mega Steelix. I had Babe focus solely on Steelix, as Kanari fought against Blastoise. We almost went down to Blastoise Hydro Pump, but we managed to get Steelix away from Blastoise and take it out. Despite Kanari having a fully electric team, Blastoise was still at above half. It also tanked close combat pretty well. We were in the red when Blastoise finally went down. During the battle, Terragon and his workers had built a giant scaffold for us to get across to the next area, where we met up with the Bane. This time we were facing Mega Salamence and Mega Aggron. I tried to just solo the Mega Aggron, but Lockon was not being my friend for this battle, leading to moments like Babe using close combat on Salamence. We were soon down to a sliver, but then Salamence and Aggron went down at the same time. I want to say Salamence went down to burn damage, while Aggron went down to whatever move Noivern was using. Next up was meeting with Corbeau, where we had to fight Mega Gardevoir and Mega Gallade. I'm just going to play as the fool. This was just too funny. Following the battle, the Rust Syndicate goons proceeded to construct a human ladder for us to reach the rooftops. Don't worry, no one was harmed. On the roof, we were blocked by Mega Alakazam, Mega Metagross, and Mega Aerodactyl. But then Grissom and Grissel showed up. How did y'all get up here? Metagross was constantly firing Hyper Beams, making it hard to get in the fight, though we did manage to take out Aerodactyl. With Grissel's Pyroar face tanking, we took out Metagross second, leaving only Alakazam, which we easily took out as it was 3v1. We can now reach Zygarde, who should proceed to transform into its 100% form. Zygarde then brushed down to the ground, as it fought Angie from the sky. We had to fight these two weird flowers on the ground. They were pretty difficult. Close combat while Mega Evolved did less than half, leading to us needing a flurry of fire and thunder punches to take them out. With the flowers defeated, the game then gave us control of Zygarde. Another reason why we technically could not solo challenge this game. However, I feel like I should treat this like the Koraidon-Miraidon battle at the end of Scarlet and Violet. After attacking with Zygarde, the plants on the ground respawn, with us still at low health. At this point, I decided to use a foolish door, but then I discovered dying does not reset us back to the beginning. The game autosaves after every Zygarde attack, except Babe was now at full health. During this phase, the blue flower gained an ability to summon a mist that did damage over time. I had Babe take it out as quickly as possible, just for it to get a bigger, stronger mist attack on the next phase. I decided to target the red flower first. It was the more violent of the two, but we had some rubble we could hide behind. We then took on the blue flower. It managed to get Babe into the red, but he took it out, bringing Angie into red health. We then got access to Zygarde's new signature move, Corn Forcer, which finished off Angie. Or so we thought. Angie, in one last-ditch effort, gathered up all its remaining power and fired it into the sky. The blast then made a U-turn towards Lumiose. But suddenly, we gained the power to Mega Evolve Zygarde. Its Corn Forcer turned into Nihil Light, which intercepted the attack, ending the game. We beat Pokemon Legends ZA with only Emboar, if you exclude Lucario Zygarde. This was a fun run, and I'm hoping to do more in the future. Thank y'all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, maybe consider giving a like and subscribing to the channel. See ya.